Hello and welcome back to the Stronghold. I'm the Magi here with a public service announcement that, in fact, a red deck wins. If you are looking for a super budget-friendly deck to help you do your daily grind without burning through all of your wild cards, have I got a great answer for you. But hey, before we get into all that, I wanted to take just a moment to thank my community for helping the Stronghold reach a bit of a long-term goal here. 1,000 subscribers on the YouTube channel. Definitely a tremendous thing. Thank you for all the views, all the subs, all the likes, all the comments, and just generally being a very supportive community. It means so much more than you'll ever know. And hey, what do you do when you reach a goal? You set a new one. So moving forward, my main talking point goal is going to be to reach just 50 followers over on Twitch. And frankly, we're already about halfway there, so this one should be really, really easy. If you're not already following me on Twitch, please consider doing so. And that always gives you kind of a sneak peek of some of the live play content, things like that. And of course, the support continues to help the community grow. And I'll be thinking up a giveaway to do once we get there. Probably not a whole account this time around, but hey, that's okay. Now, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, right. Now, I have to admit, when the new player experience starter decks for this year came out, amongst other things, I was a bit disappointed in some of the red card selections. For the most part, the cards were very narrow. In fact, the red-white deck really doesn't contribute anything outside of that deck. None of those cards are really useful in a generic red deck. Of course, there's always issues of one-ofs and things like that. But the overall power level really left a lot to be desired. A lot of the key cards, even budget staples from the prior year, were not included. And were not going to be easily acquired because new players aren't going to be opening packs. They're less likely to be drafting things from last year, etc., etc. But now with the inclusion of Wilds of Eldraine now having been released, and even free-to-play budget players are starting to add that pretty significantly to their collection, I think we've got a winner here. All right, so let's take a look at what I put together as a mono red budget deck for 2024, at least as a starting point. In column one, we've got commons, uncommons, rares, and then the lands are just a series of basics. Don't feel like you got to get fancy. A mountain is a mountain, at least as far as the game is concerned. Now, further, let's break this up into what is part of your new player experience and what isn't. Yeah, all right. So at Commons, we've got Branch Riders in here. This is more or less a placeholder until we're able to upgrade it because everyone has these. You should easily have, I believe it was 3 copies of Lightning Strike from the new player experience, but doing a little bit of jump in, or just a little bit of the packs that you open up, you should be able to very easily come up with a 4th copy. Now, from Wilds of Eldraine, we've got the bulk of our commons, being the Harried Spear Guard, Torch the Tower, Ginger Brute, Ratcatcher Trainee, Minecart Daredevil, and Unruly Catapult. And we'll kind of go back through these. Unruly Catapult is here as a Spells Matter component that I think is starting to come together for this deck and may have some positive benefits in other formats as well, but it's a little early. We'll have to see how that works out. Minecart Daredevil, of course, is an adventure card, so you get built-in card advantage, giving you both a combat trick and a pretty decent creature. Similarly, with Ratcatcher Trainee, you get the instant pest problem, giving you 2 tokens, as well as a 2/1/2 mana creature, which has first strike on your turn, making it perfect to swing aggressively. Ginger Brute, this is the old art, so don't feel weird if yours looks different. I already had these. 1 mana, 1/1 with haste that you can make more or less unblockable. Only other creatures with haste would be able to block it. So pretty solid. Torch the Tower, of course, is a 2 mana, or excuse me, a 1 mana 2 damage spell. And if you bargain it, you can deal 3 damage and scry 1. Of course, you have to target creatures and planeswalkers. It won't go face the way Lightning Strike will. It's a bit of a downside, but bargaining this is actually pretty easy. Of course, a bargain, you can sacrifice an artifact, an enchantment, or a token. Your catapult is an artifact. Your trainee makes tokens. Ginger Brute is an artifact. And later on, we'll talk about Monstrous Rage also creates a monster roll token. And of course, Urbrask's Forge creates a token every single turn. They can swing. They're probably not going to block it because it has trample. And then at end of turn, you can bargain it away for even more value. Really solid stuff. Squee Dubious Monarch also makes Goblin tokens. Fantastic synergy here. The last card is the Harried Spearguard, a 1 mana 1/1 with haste. When it dies, it almost replaces itself by creating a rat token, and of course that feeds Torch the Tower as a possibility as well. From your new player experience, like we said, you've got your Branch Riders in there and your Lightning Strikes. At Uncommon, we've got Monstrous Rage, 1 mana instant. Target creature gets +2/+0 until EOT, and you put a monster roll token on it. So it kind of gets +3/+1, and +1/+1 of that sticks around. I think we're all familiar with Electrostatic Infantry. This guy loves when you cast instants and sorceries. And when we look at the breakdown on this, we've got 12 instants in this deck. Really solid, and I think it's actually higher than that. Let's see. Yeah, it's actually 16 in this. No, excuse me, 18. Math. Ta-da! From there, of course, we've got a few rares in here. We touched on some of them. Felvin Running Excavator is one that we really didn't talk about. Squee is one of those cards that you may not have depending upon your jump-in choices. Please feel free to not craft this card. There's a very good chance you're going to get it over the course of the next year. And for the time being, you can just run an additional Ratcatcher trainee. It's really no problem at all. Urbrask's Forge, you got 1 in your new player experience. A second copy is easily attainable through Jump In. Rampaging Raptor is one of the high mana spells in this deck that will probably ultimately get cut, but a 4/4 Trample Haste for 4 with a fire breathing ability is really good. Whenever it deals combat damage to an opponent, it deals that much damage to a planeswalker they control as well. Very good. And of course, Urbrask is the 1 mythic in the deck from your new player experience, 4 mana, 4/4 with First Strike. And oh yeah, if you manage to pop off 3 instants in the same turn, which will be difficult, you get to flip this over into its saga and absolutely wreak havoc. Most of your games are not going to last that long, but it is just a solid 4/4 First Strike for 4 mana. 19 Mountains could be easier, and there is the basics of the deck. And of course, the full deck list is available over on EtherHub, just in case you didn't catch all that. And make sure not just to download it, but to go and give it a view down here in the description. We're working on a full upgrade guide. What you're seeing here obviously is not complete. And of course, that is going to include cards that you are going to want if you wish to upgrade this for something like, oh, I don't know, this week's midweek Magic Explorer event, things like Spikefield Hazard and Light at the Stage, that's where you're going to want to be, and all those details are going to be in there for you as well. And while you're up here, do me a favor and look right up in here and like the deck. Sadly, it does not allow me to like my own stuff, but that really helps get the word out to other people as well. So take just a moment and hit the like button on EtherHub as well before you do your download. It is tremendously helpful. And before we go, I want to take just a moment to thank all of my patrons and remind the community when we hit just 10 patrons at any level, we will be rolling out Discord for the entire community, not just paid patrons. So if you have the means or mind to do so, consider supporting our community as it continues to grow. And of course, supporting the community by liking, commenting, subscribing, or sharing our videos is always appreciated.